You guys wanted more deals, and, well, I found more. Not 10, not 20, but 30 insane PS games on massive discounts. I am going to start this list with Middle-earth: Shadow of War, which is like 90% off at $5, and this is one of the best value deals here. What makes this game so interesting is the Nemesis system, which alone makes it worth buying. Enemies remember you, adapt, and create personal rivalries. Also, the combat feels similar to that smooth, counter-based style you'd expect, and the large-scale fortress battles add variety. The story isn't groundbreaking, but the gameplay loop is addictive. Then we got Laika, Aged Through Blood, which is like 80% off at $4. And this one's surprisingly intense. It's a 2D action game mixed with motorcycle movement and bullet time mechanics. You're constantly flipping in the air, shooting enemies mid-rotation, and landing perfectly to reload. It feels stylish, but also challenging. The tone is darker than you might expect, and the gameplay takes some practice. For this small price, though, this game is a steal if you want something unique and skill-based. Then we got Call of Cthulhu, which is back again at 75% off for $5. This one leans heavily into investigation, dialogue, and psychological horror rather than action. This one's slow, story-focused, and built around mystery. The fighting part in this game is minimal and not the highlight, so don't go in expecting a shooter. But the atmosphere and Lovecraft-inspired storytelling carry it. This game's a solid deal if you're into narrative-driven horror. Then we got Nobody Wants to Die is 70% off at $7.50, and this one jumps heavily into cyberpunk detective vibes. It's slow, cinematic, and focused on investigation rather than action. You're analyzing crime scenes, rewinding events, and piecing together what happened. It's visually impressive and very atmosphere-driven. The pacing won't be for everyone, especially if you want constant action. For this small price, it's a solid pickup if you're into story-heavy, noir-style mysteries. Then we got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is 80% off at around $12. And this is basically action-packed fantasy mixed with looter-shooter gameplay. It keeps that fast, ability-heavy combat style, but with spells, dragons, and a tabletop RPG theme. The humor is very loud and constant, which might not be for everyone, but the combat and co-op fun are the highlights. It's a solid choice if you want colorful, over-the-top action with friends. Next is Mark of the Ninja at 75% off at $5. And this is easily one of the cleanest stealth games out there. It's a 2D side-scroller, but don't let that fool you. The stealth mechanics are super tight. Like, every movement here matters, and the game clearly shows what enemies can see and hear, which makes it feel fair. This game rewards patience and planning, and you actually feel smart when you pull off a perfect run. If you enjoy stealth games that respect your time, this is absolutely worth grabbing at this price. Then we got Shadow Warrior 2 at 85% off at $4.50, and this is pure action-packed FPS fun. It's fast, over the top, and doesn't take itself too seriously. You've got crazy weapons, ridiculous enemies, and constant action from start to finish. The humor can be hit or miss depending on your taste, but the combat absolutely carries it. There's also some light RPG loot mechanics thrown in, which add replay value, even if they're not super deep. This one's a no-brainer if you just want mindless, explosive action. Next one is Still Wakes the Deep, which is currently 75% off at $8.74, and this is one of those pure atmosphere horror games. You're stuck on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean, and things go very, very wrong. There's no real combat here. The game really makes use of your phobias. It's mostly exploration, tension, and trying to survive while everything falls apart around you. It's very cinematic, with strong voice acting and a constant sense of dread. If you're expecting action, this isn't that. But if you like slow-burn horror that feels intense and immersive, this is a strong grab under $10. Then we got Lego Bricktales at 85% off for about $4.50, and this one's surprisingly chill. Instead of combat-heavy gameplay, this focuses on building actual Lego-style structures to solve puzzles. You got bridges, machines, little contraptions, and you build them piece by piece. It's creative, relaxing, and honestly kind of satisfying if you enjoy problem solving. Some puzzles can slow the pace a bit, but that's part of the design. For under $5, it's a great pick if you want something light and different. Then we got Gris, which is 75% off at $4.20, and this is more of an emotional experience than a traditional game. It's a platformer, but there's no combat. It's all about visuals, music, and atmosphere. The art style in this game is kinda beautiful, almost like playing through a painting. The gameplay is also simple, and that's intentional. It's short, calm, and focused on storytelling through visuals. This one's perfect if you want something relaxing and artistic. Then there's Death's Door that's 75% off at $5, and this one blends tight combat with a charming but slightly dark world. You play as a little crow collecting souls, and it mixes exploration, puzzles, and boss fights really well. The gameplay revolves around exploration and combat that feels responsive and satisfying, though some bosses can spike in difficulty. The world design is clean and memorable, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. This is easily one of the strongest action-adventure pickups in the list. Then we got What Remains of Edith Finch is 75% off at $5, and this is one of the best narrative-driven experiences you can grab at this price. It's basically an interactive story where you explore a strange family house and relive the stories of each family member. There's barely any traditional gameplay. It's more about atmosphere and storytelling. But the way each story is presented feels creative and memorable. It's short, focused, and emotional. This is an easy recommendation if you enjoy story-first games. Then we got Tales of Iron, which is sitting at 88% off for just $3, and this one's surprisingly intense. It's a 2D action RPG where you play as a rat fighting through a brutal, hand-drawn world. It's got a more deliberate combat and is actually pretty challenging. It's not a button masher. You need to block, dodge, and learn enemy patterns. The art style is gritty, and the narration adds a unique touch. For very low price, this is a steal if you enjoy tough but fair combat with a strong atmosphere. Then we got Green Hell at 80% off for $5, and this is a hardcore survival experience. You're stranded in the Amazon rainforest, and the game does not hold your hand. You have to manage hunger, sanity, infections, and everything. It's realistic, sometimes brutally so. It's got crafting and survival systems are deep, which is great if you love immersion, but it can feel overwhelming at first. It's an easy recommendation for survival fans who want something serious. Then we got this simple-looking but really addictive game called Carrion, which is 80% off at $4, and this flips the usual horror formula. Instead of running from the monster, you are the monster. It's a 2D action game where you slither through labs, grab enemies, and cause some real action. The movement, although simple, feels smooth, and it's surprisingly satisfying. It's not very long, but at this little price, it's a fun and unique experience that's absolutely worth trying. Then we have Viewfinder, one of the most interesting games on this list, which is 70% off at $7.50, and this is a creative puzzle game built around perspective. You take photos or images and place them into the world, turning flat pictures into real, walkable environments. It's clever, visually clean, and constantly introduces new ideas. Some puzzles may take a bit to figure out, but that's the charm. This is an indie game for a small price that's strong pickup if you enjoy brain-teasing games that feel genuinely original. Then we got Squirrel with a Gun, which is 65% off at $7. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. You play as a squirrel causing absolute mayhem with different weapons in a small open sandbox environment. It's kinda goofy, physics-driven, and clearly not meant to be taken seriously. The fun mostly comes from messing around and seeing what ridiculous things you can pull off. It's not super deep, but for $7, it's a solid pickup if you just want something dumb and entertaining for a few hours. Then we have a more pricier games, starting with Doom: The Dark Ages, which is 67% off at $23, which is a much bigger price compared to the others, but this is full-on brutal action. It keeps that aggressive, fast-paced combat the series is known for, but with a darker, more medieval twist. It's heavy, violent, and built around constant movement and action. Not much strategy, it's more about raw momentum and aggression. If you just want pure adrenaline and high-production chaos, this is a strong pickup, especially at a solid discount. Then there's Dead Island 2, which is 75% off at $12.50, and this is full-on zombie action. The combat here is brutal, messy, and actually pretty satisfying thanks to its detailed damage system. The story isn't the main focus here, it's more about creative ways to smash zombies. It's colorful, a bit over the top, and doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a strong deal if you just want fun co-op zombie destruction. Then there's Streets of Rage 4, which is 65% off at $8.74, and this is a modern take on classic arcade beat-em-ups. It keeps that side-scrolling, combo-heavy combat, but adds smoother animations and clean visuals. It's straightforward, like you fight through levels, clear enemies, move on, but the combat feels tight and it's great in co-op. This is great if you want something simple, fun, and replayable. Then we got Mortal Kombat 1, which is 80% off at $10, which is honestly a big discount for a major fighting game. It keeps that brutal, flashy combat the series is known for, with cinematic story content and a fresh, rebooted timeline. It's easy to pick up, but still has depth if you want to learn combos seriously. Online performance and balance can always evolve. This is a strong deal whether you're casual or competitive. Then we have LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is 80% off at $12, and this is basically the ultimate LEGO Star Wars package. You get all 9 main movies adapted into that classic LEGO humor style, but with much bigger, more open areas to explore. It's got a mix of simple combat, light puzzles, and it's clearly designed to be accessible for everyone. It's not super challenging, but that's not the point. It's fun, packed with content, and great in co-op. This one's a great option for Star Wars fans. Then we got Hogwarts Legacy, which is 85% off at $10.50, and that's honestly a huge discount for a game this big. It lets you fully explore Hogwarts and the surrounding areas in an open-world RPG setup. This game is packed with both melee and ranged combat, which is spell-based and surprisingly engaging, though the side content can feel repetitive after a while. Still, the world design and atmosphere carry it hard. And guys, for just over $10, this is an easy recommendation if you've ever wanted to live inside the wizarding world. Then we got Deathloop at 80% off at $12, and it's one of the most interesting shooters I have played in a while, blending shooting with a time loop mechanic that encourages experimentation. You're replaying the same day, learning enemy patterns, and slowly figuring out the perfect sequence to break the loop. It rewards creativity and planning more than pure aim. It can feel confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's satisfying. At this discount, it's a strong pickup if you want something stylish and different. Then we got Risk of Rain 2 at 75% off for $6.20, and this is one of the best roguelike shooters you can grab at this price. It throws you into chaotic runs where enemies keep scaling the longer you stay alive. It starts simple, but very quickly turns into complete madness with abilities flying everywhere. The difficulty ramps up fast, which is part of the fun, especially in co-op. It can feel overwhelming for new players, but this is an easy pickup if you like fast-paced, replayable action. Then we have Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is 70% off at $18. And yes, this one's a bit on the higher spectrum of price. But yeah, totally worth it. This keeps that dramatic storytelling mixed with ridiculous side content the series is known for, but with a tropical setting twist. You get serious crime drama 1 minute and absolute nonsense the next. Combat is flashy and over the top, and there's a ton of side activities. It's a bigger investment compared to the others here, but if you like story-heavy games with personality, this is a strong deal. Then we got Star Wars Jedi Survivor at 75% off at $12.50, and this expands on the first game with bigger areas, deeper combat, and more customization. It blends lightsaber combat with exploration and platforming. The combat feels weighty and tactical, and yeah, it did have some performance issues at launch, but I hope those were fixed. Still, you're getting a large, cinematic Star Wars experience that's easy to recommend if you enjoyed the previous game. Then we got Overcooked 2 at 75% off for $6.20, and this is pure co-op fun. You probably already know, but you and your friends run around a kitchen trying to prepare meals while everything goes wrong. You got fires going around, players tripping, clients yelling, and all that. It's simple to understand, but quickly turns into shouting, laughing, and total panic. Solo play works, but it's clearly built for multiplayer. For just over $6, this is one of the best party games you can grab. And then we got High on Life at 65% off for $14. And this is a shooter that leans heavily into loud, constant humor. Your guns talk, enemies talk, basically everything talks. This is like one of the most hilarious games I've ever played. It's super fun with dialogues and quick wits, and even though the combat is straightforward, but it's really amazing, with colorful visuals and creative weapons. The humor won't land for everyone, of course, and it can feel repetitive, but if you're into that over-the-top style, it's a decent pickup at this price. These are just a few of the many ongoing sales on PSN. If you are looking for more, just hit that subscribe button, because we make these deal videos a few times every week, so you don't miss out on any title.